Catapult pancakes lobbed at me. Syrup and butter, they are killing we.
Question number 7. When was Jesus tempted in the desert, and who wrote it down? Jesus was tempted in the desert before he started his ministry from Galilee to Jerusalem. It's easily possible that he told the disciples about his experience, and it was probably the way they got their information.
How do you know that? You said it's plausible, but the story doesn't say that. Why doesn't it say, Jesus went off into the desert, we watched him go, then he came back and he told us what had happened? That would have been simple, but it doesn't. It just doesn't read that way. It does read like an all-seeing narrator who just knows what's going on all the time. In fact, all the stories read that way. They don't read like normal history. They read like stories. Like you have a narrator who's saying things that nobody could have possibly remembered or known about. It smacks of a made-up story. I don't buy that Jesus, who's supposed to be like this humble dude, would have gone into the desert, been tempted, come back, and then said, okay, disciples, this is what happened. I was tempted by some angels. By the way, make a note, change angels later on into Satan. I was tempted in the desert, but I didn't fall for any of the temptations. And then that none of the disciples had any questions about that or comments about that. And it's just like, yeah, let's write that down. And then additionally, you're like, oh yeah, he also told them about what he did before he met up with them. How do you know that? Where does it say like? It just, like, and then I interviewed his mom who told me his story about when he was a kid. Something like that would have been nice to have, but it's not how it's written. Why? Why isn't it written that way? Because it's just a story. It's fictional. It's not historical. But you're about to say it is historical, which is hysterical.
They were with Jesus for 3 years, so it's plausible that they got their information about him, just like the experiences he had before he started his ministries. Of course, this event could not be an eyewitness account, but rather historical account of Jesus' temptation in the desert.
Yeah, that's not historical. That would be him telling people what had happened. Then he would be the eyewitness to it. So, yeah, but it doesn't say what happened. And so, what I was trying to get at with this question is, how do we know any of this? You speculate on the answer. Well, it's probably the disciples. He probably told them. But you couldn't say that definitely, and it isn't written to clarify it. It makes it seem like this story is just a story. And, well, it is a story. It never happened. But then again, neither did most of the things that the Bible says happen. So it's just one more thing that didn't happen. I guess there wasn't really any other way that you could have answered this, because if you attempted to do so honestly and say, I don't know, well, that might lead to doubt. And doubt's bad. Oh no, bad. Hey, but at least we got an answer. It was probably that Jesus probably told his disciples, probably. Yeah, sure. Why not?